legacy? What kind of images does that bring to mind? What type of legacy do you want to have? How do you want to be remembered? Many people do want to be remembered, want their accomplishments to be known, and it all starts somewhere. There's always a beginning. And for many people, we have stories that we can look back to and see where the beginning were. On TV, we can watch shows that look at the history of people. There's a show called Biography that you're able to watch. For Michael Jackson, he just had a brand new DVD put out for people who want to recall his legacy. But today in the Scriptures, we see two people at the beginning of their legacy. And part of the beginning of their legacy was how they responded to God's call. And as we look at the stories today, as we look at Gideon and as we look at Peter, we need to look at that idea of how do we respond when God calls us? And how does that impact the legacy that we leave behind? First off, we could say no when God calls us. Part of our freedom that we have is that ability to make that decision to say, no, I'm not going to follow you. No, I'm not going to do that. The second answer is yes, if you can guarantee me victory. A conditional yes. And third is a yes that abandons everything. A yes that says, I trust you. A yes that will lead to a legacy that people will remember you and remember you fondly. But even more so, that legacy is a reflection back on God, on His power, and on His glory. As we look a little bit closer at the stories, we are in Judges chapter 6, and the beginning of this chapter talks about how the Midianites had taken over Israel at that time. And this is the call of Gideon in chapter 6. And his first response, when the angel of the Lord appears to him and says, the Lord is with you, his response is, but, sir. But, sir, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Not showing all that he's there, but simply saying, but. You're calling me, but. Why has this all happened to us? Where are his wonders that our fathers have told us about when they said, did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and put us into the hand of Midian. It's not a response of an unconditional, yes, I will respond to this call. It's a complaint. It's a complaint that he hasn't seen those wonders that he's been told about. He wants to see them for himself. And through the story of Gideon, we see this over and over and over again. He's constantly asking for proof. He's constantly asking for assurance that he'll have victory. And later on in the story, if you follow the story, you'll see that Gideon, when other people complain and say, I need a sign, Gideon says, how dare you not have faith? Gideon responds in that way. Gideon started out in this passage treading out grain at a wine press, in the dark, hidden underground, hiding from the Midianites, treading out grain. Gideon reminds me of a big kid who gets bullied. The kid that has all the strength in the world, is intimidating from afar, but other people discover that they can take advantage of him. In the TV, in the movies, and on cartoons, you see it all the time, where this little kid is pushing around this big kid to help bully other people. Just not that confident. Gideon wanted to be sure before he did anything. That was Gideon before he was asked, just as he was being asked to serve. And then you have Peter. Peter was just minding his own business, doing his own thing, just happened to be in that place because he had just gotten done working. He was washing his nets, going about his work, probably wanting to go home pretty soon, but Jesus came and began to preach. And he asked a simple request, would you please take me out into the water so I can address this crowd? And Peter says yes. Peter takes him out onto the water and sits there with him as he teaches. And then once more, Jesus asks him to lower his nets. And he does so. And he receives a blessing. He receives a blessing from God. And this is the beginning of the 2 minutes legacy. Gideon is remembered for saying yes. Gideon is remembered as a great warrior, renowned, being able to take down the Midianites. Peter is remembered for founding the church. Gideon's response was a response of show me, prove it to me. Prove it to me that you are going to be able to do what you say. He says, the angel of the Lord turned to him and said, go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. Am I not sending you? But Lord, Gideon asked, how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. The Lord answered, I will be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites together. Gideon replied, if now I have found favor in your eyes, give me a sign that it's really you talking to me. Please do not go away until I come back and bring my offering and set it before you. He very well could have accepted that call by God at that point. That call to do as he had said. But he wanted to delay it. He wanted to keep God. Part of that idea was he wanted to be able to go and come back so that he could hold on to this moment just a little bit longer. To hold on to this moment of time because he had been longing for those days of God showing his power. And isn't it amazing how quickly we can get to that point in our own lives? Where God has worked a miracle in our life, he has spoken to us, and maybe only a couple years have passed, and we say once again, is God working?